What's going on out there, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome on in once again for the Chiefs preseason Week 2 post-game show now. Tanner, you're back home in the studio, so that's good to see you, of course. So,
Yep.
let's kick it off, man. The game just now ended a couple minutes ago. What are some of your initial thoughts after seeing what we saw unfold here?
I feel this was a better, I guess, overall performance from all sides from all teams. I guess you could say 1 through 3, 1 through 4, for that point. So we didn't see any. Who am I thinking of? The other quarterback, Gordon, right?
Gordon, who you
Am I
talking?
thinking?
Chad Henne? Is that who you're talking about?
Oh yeah, Chet Henne. That's who I was thinking of. I don't know why.
Okay.
I'm thinking of like a 4-string guy for some reason.
Yeah, no.
But yeah,
Andy Reid had mentioned this week in pregame presser about how he just wanted to get more work for Shane and a little bit more for Crum because I mean Chad Henne's 36 years old and it's like we already know what we got in that guy. So
it's another
yeah,
day. But yeah, no, I thought it went fairly well. Patrick Mahomes finished 12 for 19, 162 yards, 8.5 average on that throw on those passes, and a couple TDs to Mr. Jody Fortson, who made a big splash as well. So I felt pretty good about it overall. And it was nice to see Nick Bolton get there again, and it's got to see a lot of guys happen.
right, exactly. Nick Bolton's one of those guys. He reminds me a lot of a young Derek Johnson in a lot of ways, as far as just kind of the quick athletic ability, making plays in the backfield. I mean, the guy is going to be a TFL machine for his whole career here with the Chiefs, which is something Derek did so damn good here for so many years. Obviously, your guy Kalen Saunders as well came through with another sack this week. So that's George Karlaftis has back-to-back sacks now
Right.
in 2 games, and Kalen Saunders did the same thing. So
Yeah, and Karlaftis today was coming off the double team, sticking with it and be able to get that sack there as the quarterback turned around. So I thought that was a pretty big play for Karlaftis. And I mean, Saunders did get kind of ripped on a call as well on that push on the quarterback that would have been 4th down. So it wouldn't have scored a touchdown there. But, it's NFL. You got to deal with the refs calling, what the refs call.
Right. I think the one thing that today that I wanted to see more of that we didn't get to see enough quite was more Sky Moore. Obviously, he went out there today. We didn't see him enough. We saw Marquez Valdes-Scantling get 2 passes thrown his way. So, I mean, he's going to be a part of the offense no matter what. But I think Sky Moore's a guy. I'm curious to see what he could provide more in punt return game, as well as the way we're going to be using him on the offense, because I do think he's going to be used quite a bit in third down situations. Any kind of passing down that makes sense, he's going to be the guy that's going to be looked to. There was one pass there that was knocked away. Pat was going to him in the end zone, and the cornerback just made a great play on the ball. So
yeah.
Otherwise, we didn't see a ton of Sky Moore out there making plays.
Yeah, now you mentioned MVS there. It's kind of interesting to see him get 5 targets, 2 catches, but he was targeted a bunch here in that first quarter. That we know it's going to be a guy on that offense, so that'll be kind of interesting to see how that shapes up. McKinnon gets a catch off a target as well. I figured he'd get a little bit more going as well, but I mean, it's not good if McKinnon is getting playing time with the first string, and I didn't hear anything about Rojo coming into play. So that's just not good play. That's not good for Rojo.
Right. And one of the things we talked about in the pregame show was just that this was Rojo's game to go out and make something happen. If he didn't make something happen today, I mean, he could be one of the guys cut from this team without a doubt. And
he didn't even play.
He did play. He played a few snaps. Yeah.
Snaps. Yeah. Okay. They just didn't give it to him. Okay.
Right. He played a few snaps, but nothing happened with it. He was out pretty quick, and then we saw Derek Gore come in for a few. So it's just one of those things where I don't know. Maybe the team feels like they're wasting time even giving him the ball if it was the opportunity was to come up, which is crazy to me. I'm still kind of dumbfounded that this guy could fall off that quick after just 2 years ago having 5 yards of carry with Tampa Bay. So
agreed. Like how nuts
it's an interesting situation to me. One positive I do want to talk about here for a second is the cornerbacks today were extremely active across the board. We saw L'Jarius Sneed making a great play. And then Jalen Watson was involved in many different plays throughout this game. So He was someone that was targeted quite a bit, but also he was making plays at the same time. And then, of course, Chris Lamons as well. So he was out there quite a bit making plays, had one great swat of the ball on a deep downfield pass. And then, of course, the interception there at the end to clinch the game winner right there.
Yeah, and Deion Bush coming in for that hit as well in I believe, the third quarter. coming in with that big old hit. That's kind of nice to see some attitude in that play because he's going to need it to make the team, I think. But yeah, Jalen Watson, you mentioned him, a guy I am really high on this year for the Chiefs, and it's great to see him come out and make some plays in that corner position.
And Joshua Williams too. I mean, we saw him out
Yeah.
there quite a bit in the beginning, getting targeted. But it's good for these young guys, these young rookie cornerbacks, like that are just getting used to the speed of the NFL. And I want quarterbacks to be going after their areas of the field because we want to get these guys acclimated. So that way, when it comes time for Week 8 in the middle of the NFL season, it's like they've had enough reps, they've seen enough things now to where they know how to react to situations. So, all those were good things for me to see at least today unfold. Was the cornerbacks just really getting active today. Fenton did have the groin injury, left the game, which he wasn't going to come back anyways. He is one of our starters. So from what I've heard so far, it's nothing serious. It's a precautionary thing, just a strain, similar probably to Mecole Hardman's issue right now.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. As long as it's nothing to do with the shoulders, neck, or back, we're okay. I think we'll be all right on that. So, it's a little. I was a little worried there when he went down, but when I heard it was the groin, I was like, okay, we'll be all right. We'll be all right.
All right. So we got cut down day coming up here shortly here in just a couple days. So 5 more guys will be released from the roster on August 23rd. I think we can kind of just assume there's going to be a few guys, maybe a couple linebackers that are released this coming week. Something along those lines. Just the guys that they know what they have on their hands, and we already know who's going to be on the team. We already know Nick Bolton, Willie Gay, and Elijah Lee and Leo Chenal. All those guys are going to be a part of this roster no matter what. But I think some of those guys on the bottom back end there are probably going to be cut here in the next few days. But otherwise, Tanner, so anything else that you wish you could have seen more of today that we didn't get to just due to maybe some of the game script that happened?
You kind of mentioned it on the Sky Moore. I wish he would have got a little bit more targets. We saw a lot of Cornell Powell, which was really nice at the end. Got to see what he can do when he gets the ball in his hands. But, Sky Moore would have been nice. Something I wish really, not really. I kind of saw more. I saw Brian Cook there, right, with the ones. You saw a lot of guys with the ones that I was hoping to see. So, it's going to be more. I want to see more of that Nick Leo into play. So Leo started out with Sam for a few plays, and then he came in with some Mike and that's with the third string. So good to see that as well. I don't know. What about you? Anything that you were hoping to see more?
Not necessarily in this one. Overall, I feel pretty comfortable. What I would like to see the most right now is just more production from the running game, though. I think that's one thing we've seen now in the first 2 weeks of preseason football is that we cannot get this running game going. It doesn't really matter who's back there. I mean, I understand Clyde Edwards-Helaire is only playing a few plays per game so far, and even Isaiah Pacheco, who I think we all understand is a very athletic and has a lot of potential with his height, weight, speed, physicality. He's also not a guy that's had any kind of breakaway runs yet. We haven't seen him show the vision that is going to be necessary in an Andy Reid offense to be able to find a hole, cut it up, and dig those 12 to 15 yards. So far, no one's really doing that for this team in the running back situation. And I don't know if it has nothing to do with the offensive line or not. That's part of it because not everyone there is necessarily always reading the assignments correctly at times. But I think a lot of it, like, can these guys improvise a little bit? That's what I'd like to see a little more of from the running back spot is just getting some guys out there with some vision and maybe running creatively. I mean, we saw Jamal Charles behind an awful offensive line throughout most of his career, not give a damn and average 6 yards a carry like it was no big deal. And, he dealt with a terrible team around him. It didn't matter. He was a creative runner and he could improvise when things were looking, pretty bleak. And I want to see more of that from the current running backs on the roster right now. And my biggest fear with Isaiah Pacheco at this point is he's going to have all these physical traits that you look for in a running back, but is he going to have the vision and patience that are necessary to be great? And he could end up becoming another Niall Davis situation where he's running like an anteater with his head in the ground and not with his head up, having the vision to be able to know where to cut and where to go.
Yeah, no, I agree. Something has to happen here. Somebody has to break away. We already know Clyde's going to be the one, but who's going to be the guy after him? That's what we really got to find out, and who's going to be the guy to step up. So that's to be renamed, to be named later, I'm sure. Any surprise cuts coming up that you would take? Any surprise cut?
I'll give you Josh Gordon would be my surprise cut. which it's not really a surprise. I mean, the reason I say it's a surprise is because it's going to happen before the official cut day. So you might expect Josh Gordon to be released, here in a week and a half on August 30th, whenever it comes time to go from 80 down to 53. I'm predicting it's going to happen here this week. So that's why I say he'd be our surprise for the cut coming up this week.
Okay. I'm trying to think. I guess Taylor Stallworth would be I know it's not a big name, but it's a guy who's made some kind of impact, but he could possibly be a guy on his way out, unfortunately. But he'd be picked up pretty quick if that's the case. Just because our defensive line depth is so, just so deep right now. That's going to be really hard to keep him with Chris Jones, Derek Nottie, Colin, Tershawn, Danny Shelton. Like, it's going to be really hard to keep all those guys and Taylor Stallworth.
Yeah, that makes sense. And we didn't really see a whole lot of Danny Shelton today. I know he got
rotated
a few plays a couple times, but
yeah,
he wasn't out there making an impact by any means yet. So maybe he's a guy. I don't think we saw Carlos Dunlap play at all today.
I didn't recall seeing him on the field at all.
Yeah, I think he had the day off from playing.
I'll tell you real quick.
Well, I think he actually had his pads off on the sidelines. So
yeah, no, he wasn't even on.
He was inactive today, which is totally fine, obviously. But so I think we need to see more at some point of Danny Shelton to make sure that he's ready to play again, and that he's going to be the same guy that we've seen in the past to be able to stop the run. Because I actually like what I've seen so far of Taylor Stallworth. So it'd be hard for me right now to want to get rid of him at this point. Not quite this early anyway.
Yeah, I hope not, because I'd love to see him another week at least, finish out the preseason for the most part. And, maybe something happens, a trade or something like that happens, and we can keep him. But it's not looking good. Hey, it's good to see Butker in midseason form. And then looks like Tommy Townsend's just picking up where he left off. He looks really good. So off that really one punt, truly. So, but yeah, it's good to see Butker in midseason form, isn't it?
Well, the Townsend last week was actually not so great. I mean, I think he was under 40 yards a punt last week. This week, obviously, a little better, which it's nothing to be concerned about, you guys. We know what we have in these players. They didn't just forget how to kick all of a sudden. Yeah, they didn't just forget how to kick all of a sudden. And Butker's not a guy I'm ever concerned about. He is the most accurate kicker in Chiefs history. So I don't have anything bad to say about him by any means.
Watch out, Justin Reed sneaking up.
Hey, he's there if something was to happen. So at least that's the good news. I would trust Justin Reed over Blair Walsh if it came down to it. So I'll put it that way when it comes to kickers.
Cody Parker.
Yeah, Cody Parker. Yeah, I would take Justin Reed over any of those guys. That's fine. If something happens to Butker, then plug in Reed and have him kick all day. Yeah, fine with me.
Awesome. Cool. Well, we got the win. We broke the losing streak finally, and we're looking on the upside. So offense first team looked good, second team looked good, and third team looked a lot better. So it's a good thing.
Right. Hey, first team offense, first team defense is exactly what you expect. So that's the good news about it.
And that's what we want to see right now, because it wasn't pretty last year.
All right. I think someone behind me is beating a baby, so I got to go check on that.
Oh, man. All right, guys. We'll be back next week for our pregame show versus the Packers. It's a Thursday night, so we'll be on Thursday night for a pregame show, and we'll talk to you all then.
All right.
All right, guys.
See ya.
See you guys.